Hello and welcome to Portsmouth This Week. I'm your host, Conley Zani. This show is under the auspices of Rich Rayner, our Portsmouth Town Administrator. Together, Rich, myself, and the entire Portsmouth This Week team are on a mission to build community. We do that by bringing you accurate and timely information about the events and the meetings and the info that impacts you. We introduce you to the faces, the personalities, the leaders in this very magical place that we live. I'm honored today to actually have Rich himself, our town administrator, as a guest on the show.
Hi, Conley. Good to see you again.
Welcome back, Rich. I feel like we're getting into a little bit of a monthly groove, you and I, doing this, and I just love it because you are as tapped in as anyone about what's going on in this town, in this magical place we live. So, you know, I want to kind of keep it casual here and just sort of be like, what is on your mind as you come into this coming week here? What do we need to know about?
Well, you know, there's so much going on in town. I think one of the biggest things that are coming up, obviously, is the budget hearing, the public budget hearing next
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Okay.
You know, we do this every year. It's always a long process. Starts in August, quite frankly.
Is it your favorite time of the year right now?
My favorite time is when it's done.
But we're giving birth to it this Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, it's been provisionally approved. It's been briefed to the council. We spent, if you include January, we've spent 4 nights on this. And there's been changes and lots of discussion, and now it's a chance for the public to get some say if they desire. But there are, I came with some numbers because this is what people really want to know. You know, what's my tax rate? What's the levy? You know, what is it doing to me? And there's so much misinformation that gets put out there that just really doesn't have any bearing or basis in fact, and so I'll just run through the numbers. The numbers are the numbers, but bottom line is, we did propose an increase in the budget. It's a $71.4 million budget, but that is only a 1.92% increase in the whole budget year over year. Inflation at the time that I submitted this budget was running at 8%. So
we managed to only increase 1.9%.
1.92%. What does that mean for?
I'd say congratulations on that, by the way.
Well, thank you.
That's huge.
We worked really hard. So it's, when you look at the tax rate, we're looking at a 12.782, $12.782 per $1,000 in assessed value. And I mean, to be quite upfront, I mean, one of the reasons why, and that's a decrease over last year. That's almost a $3 decrease in the tax rate over last year. The reason we could do that, obviously, is because we just had a revaluation of our properties, and the valuation of our properties in Portsmouth are going through the roof.
Right.
Okay, that valuation is eclipsing the inflation rate. So obviously, we're not taking advantage of that. And even if there was a desire, somebody came into this office and said, you know what, I don't care what happens to me in 3 years, I'm going to propose raising taxes like crazy. You can't, even if you wanted to, because we have a tax cap that we're limited to.
Right.
So whatever the levy was last year, we're limited to no more than 4% increase over that levy. So there's been this tremendous increase in the value of property in Portsmouth that we really can't tap into.
Right.
You can only go up by a small amount every year, and that is and the purpose of that law obviously is to relieve tax burden on the citizens of Rhode Island. Okay, I get it, and I fully subscribe to that. I'm a citizen too, and I own property.
Right.
But it's about a $3 increase. It's an 18.3% decrease in the tax rate. It's $145,000 below the cap.
So Rich, sorry to interrupt. So in general, thematically, I mean, we're talking about the misinformation out there. If you had to just, at the very highest level, sum up what you feel like you're hearing that's not in line with what's really going on?
I mean, it was said point blank that the problem is not the tangible tax or the commercial tax rates. The problem is uncontrolled spending. That was, I believe, the quote. We don't have a restraint on our spending. That is categorically false. We do have a restraint on our spending. It's called the council, and it's called the hardworking people that put this together over the year. In
And that's reflected in this
16
budget.
years, of course it is. In 16 years, if we look at the budgets, what the approved overall budget was every year over the last 16 years, because that's all I could get to, the budget has increased over that 16 years, almost $18.9 million over that 16 years. For the majority of those years, the budget increase was less than the inflation rate. The last 4 years, it was less than the inflation rate. 5 years ago, it was 1.37% over the inflation rate, and the year before that, just during COVID, 0.4%. So if we just took that, this is what the real budget numbers are every year. 16 years, $18.9 million growth in the budget. If you just said we can only increase the budget by the inflation rate, that's it. That is your limit. If it goes down, your budget goes down. If it goes up, your budget goes up. If you only tie your budget to the inflation rate, the budget would have been $28.4 million more over the last 16 years.
Well, see, you're crushing it.
So I won't say we're crushing it. I'm just saying that we're being very, very mindful of our fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of the town. And what does that mean? Now, that's the budget. And everything, oh my God, that's still a lot of money on the taxpayers. Don't forget that there is a lot of money that comes into our budget that is not taxpayer dollars. There are revenues that come from other sources, state aid, parks and rec, public safety, so on and so forth. So when you factor that in and you factor the inflation rate in and you say, take a look, okay, what has the effect really been on the resident of Portsmouth over the last, and we'll go 15 years. Over 15 years, the levy has increased when you factor in inflation, 0.68% a year. The tax rate has gone up 0.41% per year. If you go back 10 years, factoring in inflation, the levy has gone down 0.01% a year. The tax rate has gone up 0.66% a year. And then if we just go back only 5 years, the levy has gone down 7.2%, or 1.44% a year, and the tax rate has only gone up 0.38% per year. So I would say that this administration is doing a pretty darn good job of trying to keep spending under control.
I want to call it crushing it. I don't know. I really think that's fantastic. And I'm sorry to hear that there is
well, I
some
get
folks
it. I mean,
out there.
You know, you're talking real dollars. You're talking people that got to write a check to the town, and that hurts because there are many, many demands on your pocketbook. I get it. We all get it. But we're doing our darndest to absolutely try to mitigate the effect of taxes on your household budget to the best extent possible and still provide world-class police service, fire service, one of the best school districts in Rhode Island, paved roads, excellent customer service at Town Hall, zoning boards, planning boards, you know, all these things that we're trying to do with very limited dollars. And
you mentioned there are funds available that aren't just from our taxpayers, like other sources, and I think there's some special things coming up in this next year that we're going to be able to take advantage of, right?
Sure. I mean, one thing that's continuing that we've been working on for a couple years since, really since COVID, is the American Rescue Plan Act money. So overall, the town got a little over $5 million.
Right.
And there are communities, municipalities that have taken that money and they've done things, they've spent it on things that either would create a structural deficit in their budgets or were feel-good measures, and people, they're popular, you know, build a year-round ice skating rink, you know, okay, that would be great. But the tenets of the program were really to address the impact on the population due to COVID, public safety, broadband, water, and sewer. I mean, that was what we were supposed to be spending our money on.
Yes.
So that's what we did. We devised a priority plan with the council, and we address it with them routinely. But we established a capital improvement plan for public safety. We used some of the ARPA money as seed money so that fire trucks and 2 police cars and apparatus for the fire department, ambulances, now, and the fuel that it takes to run those now comes out of this fund, which is living by itself, because we put the seed money and then we take some of the ambulance revenue and we put that in there, and that you no longer have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about these things. You know, we lose an engine in a fire truck. Years past, that would be an absolute crisis. Now we take it in stride.
Yes, it's like you're proactive versus reactive on it all. Like you've been able to shift the paradigm.
It's trying to think strategically. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to polish my laurels here, but and there's a number of folks here, our cameraman included. We all spent a number of years in service to our country, where one of the things that was ingrained in us from the day we got our commissions was to think strategically. And so every time something happens in town hall, and I pound it in people's heads, you know, let's think about the second, third, and fourth order effect of that decision. All right, what is that? What is the real impact of what we're doing here on Portsmouth? And if I don't see a benefit that goes beyond, you know, the front of my nose, I'm not going to support it. It has to be something that's going to be the best for Portsmouth at the least cost, and that's what we're trying to do all the time. So we established that. We're going to, you know, everybody knows that we don't have sewers in Portsmouth. One of the reasons we don't have sewers in Portsmouth is, you know, because we had a DEM violation. You know, there's groundwater and pollutants, contamination seeping into the outfalls, particularly in Park Avenue area, Island Park. All right. Well, we're going to use some of this money to go ahead and rebuild and those catch basins and those stormwater drains and those outfalls, so that we can make the water quality in Zuccotti even better. It's already a class 1A waterway. Let's make it even better. And address something. I mean, some of these things haven't been looked at in over 100 years. So let's look at that.
Right.
So
This
anyways,
is still ARPA funds.
These are ARPA funds.
Okay. What else?
Equipment for DPW, a street sweeper, a jet trailer. We're buying new radios for our DPW. The police tasers, which have to be recertified.
I just did the Citizens Police Academy.
Wasn't that
I got to
fantastic?
fire a taser. It was so fantastic. We'll talk about that on another show, but it was the most fantastic program ever.
A new dispatch system, equipment for the emergency management director, some simple things like drones, you know, and we're doing drone training. We're getting a cadre of people that are trained to fly the drones, so that we can do those. It can aid in public safety, you know, and policing, but the real purpose for this is to do damage control and assessment in the event of a natural disaster in Portsmouth. We'll be able to identify, you know, where people are stranded, what homes have been damaged, where we need to place our money and our priorities. So that, you know, we're spending it, I think, in ways that adhere to the tenets of the program. But that's just one of the. So we're going to continue that. Right. We have just 2 days ago, we found out that the congressionally directed spending used to be called earmarks. Senator Reid, when Jim Seveny was in office, Senator Seveny, myself, and Robin Weber at the Prudence Island Water District, and now Leah Hitchen, our planner, and before her, Gary Crosby, we worked very hard to put an application package into Congress that would help address their water problems on Prudence Island. I mean, they're still under a boil water advisory. They need tremendous infrastructure enhancement and renovation. We just got $1.3 million.
That's tremendous.
For that, and that's on top. We've also put money, ARPA money, into that. So we have ARPA money and this money. So this gives them the better part of $2 million, almost $2 million, $1.67 million to help address the infrastructure issues that they have there, and hopefully get them out from under that water advisory. There's a new program coming out. We've been very, very supportive of this from DOT. I think it's going to pass the legislature when the budget comes out. Road work matching program. We are ideally set up for this program because it's a matching program. So in other words, you have to be spending cash on your road paving,
which
or your
we
road
do.
crew, which we spend. We spend this year's almost $1 million, $950,000. We can leverage that as match money to get the maximum amount of money from the state and pave even more roads next year.
Oh, fantastic.
Just announced, it was just released, it's called a Municipal Technical Assistance Program, which we will be applying for. As most people know, our comprehensive community plan has been passed and blessed by the state. Huge kudos to everybody that worked on that.
Yes, can I just share really quickly? I saw Leah last night, Leah Hitchin, our town planner. It was at the Grow Smart Rhode Island presentation that Portsmouth put on, and Leah held up that comprehensive plan like she was the Lion King, Simba, you know, look at this, and everybody
was part of it.
Bananas. I mean, I think it was 12 years in the making or something. It was huge.
The citizens that were involved in it, the planning board, the staff. I mean, it has just been a monumental task. It's done. You know, our homework now is to make sure that it stays updated, and that we get it reviewed in the appropriate wickets. But the next big thing, though, is because we have that, we now have to ensure that our zoning ordinance is compliant with the comprehensive plan, and that's our zoning ordinance is woefully out of date. It needs to be updated. This program would allow us to apply for money, and we do qualify to provide the funds to have a professional outfit come in and help us do this right and get it right done. Get it done
some
right the first time.
resources to make that. That would be, I'm sure,
it'll help us get it done quicker and better. And for the least amount of money to the town.
And getting that zoning aligned with this new plan is critical, right?
Absolutely critical. And it really ties to the real big issue that's facing all of us in Rhode Island, and that's you know, our housing crisis.
Yes.
Housing, you don't have to be you know, an Einstein to figure out that housing is too expensive. There isn't enough housing for low to moderate income folks. This will help us help them. And that's one phase of it. That's one of the elements in the comp plan, and other things. You know, recreation,
open space.
education, open space, infrastructure, all the things that are addressed in the comp plan. So, really looking forward to that. Dog park. Just got another grant
from Van Buren Foundation.
Van Buren Foundation, over $35,000, I think.
Great.
So
do you know specifically for what? Or?
Well, what they want to do is they want to expand the dog park. They want to put a trail in the back, as you're looking at the front of the dog park to the back. They want to put a trail there, but they also want to expand the parking. Parking's been an issue there. Don't know that we're going to have enough money. They're going to have enough money to do all of that, but this will help.
That's great.
There's work that DPW can do. There's matching from the town, and there's this grant money. I think we're going to be able to make a big dent on what their plans are. They're obviously going to have to scale it back a little bit, but good news. I mean, it's one of the premier dog parks in the area, if not the entire state. It's extremely popular, and we want to make sure that it stays first rate. Fire department, there's a protection and safety grant that we just got there. I think it's over $40,000, if memory serves me right. But this will allow them to establish a program where they go into homes, they can evaluate your fire and safety readiness in your home, particularly for seniors, and also establish a database of people who have emergency meds that would be needed. So I forget the name of the program, but obviously it would allow the first responders to know that they're going into a home. For instance, you're a diabetic and you require insulin, so they'll know that they need to address that as well during that emergency, and they would have a database so they wouldn't be wasting time determining
crucial moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's another program that the governor is pushing this real hard. We understand that some of the council felt that it was just a drop in a bucket, but we're going to extrapolate and extract as much out of this program as we possibly can. This is the governor's Learn 365 RI Challenge, and this is a program where they're going to make money available for municipalities to try to do a couple of a few things to increase our education posture in Rhode Island. Bottom line is he wants to increase school attendance, increase reading and math scores, English and math scores, increase our FAFSA completion rate, and the reason why, because we're leaving tons of money on the table.
Yeah.
And get our education scores comparable to Massachusetts within a time frame, I think by 2030 something. So I guess the controversy that has come out regarding this is, really should municipal leaders, Rich Rainers of the world, be getting involved in this world? I understand that completely. So our tact has been understand that this is the tenet of the program, but we're not going to take any steps forward unless we're tied to the superintendent of the schools and the school administration. So they're on board. We've identified a program that we think is going to be an exciting opportunity for young kids. We're going to partner with the Oliver Hazard Perry organization.
Yes, that's the big ship.
The big tall
right?
ship, and create an education opportunity that is exciting, fun, and worthwhile, that will help meet some of those goals
Some goosebumps
on
hearing about
Oliver
that.
Hazard Perry.
Yes,
So we think that'll be
neat.
exciting, so we can't wait to iron out the details on that. That application is due by the end of the month, and we'll start working on that next week. It just came out this week.
Wow.
So lots of stuff, and I think one of the elephants in the room, obviously the South Coast Wind Project. Everybody
Oh yeah,
is.
we got to talk about that. What's happening?
Well, that's a loaded question, because that's part of where the misinformation comes from. Everybody assumes that there's tons that's happening.
And secret deals.
And secret deals and
Yeah.
backroom manipulations and negotiations. No, that's not going on. Hasn't been going on. Won't happen on my watch. Here's the bottom line. They approached us.
South Coast Wind.
South Coast Wind. They used to be Mayflower, and they said, okay, we're going to be leasing these fields, and we're looking at a couple paths to bring. I'll call them extension cords. These are the cables that everybody's upset
Yes.
about. And
They want to plug them in at Brayton Point.
They want to plug them in at Brayton Point,
Right.
and they got to get from the turbines to the Brayton Point. First off, Portsmouth has nothing to do with, and has no control, and has no veto over whether this project is going to happen or not. Those fields have been leased. Those ships are unloading as we speak.
Turbines.
Turbines.
Okay.
This is happening. The turbines are being built. Portsmouth comes into the picture because one of the routes that they're exploring would go through Portsmouth. And in Portsmouth, they were looking at 3 or 4 possible routes to get the cable through Portsmouth. That's it, and that's that. They're working with the appropriate agencies at the state and federal level. So they're working with the BOEM.
South Coast is working with the appropriate.
Right,
Okay.
Bureau of Environmental Management, the
Yeah.
Army Corps of Engineers, DEM, CRMC, the fisheries, universities. They're working, all kinds of people. I don't have any insight into that other than what other people have. I mean, I read the same things that people are forwarding to me every single day. I'm trying to stay on top of it. They approached us and let us know. We informed the council, and the council told us if we're going to do, if that cable or cables are going to go through Portsmouth, then we want to ensure that it has the least impact on Portsmouth. And I think one of the quotes, I think it was from Councilor Abbott, was, "What's in it for Portsmouth?" Okay. We, in our evaluation of the few projects where this has happened on the East Coast of the United States, is there are host community agreements that are set up where the community is reimbursed or paid for the ability or the right to be able to route the cables. Portsmouth is a unique case because the route really doesn't go on much town land at all. So I don't know what negotiations are happening between them and the state and them and private landholders, because that's where the majority of this cable would go. It will not go, in accordance with what I know, via any residential units. There is a small proposed area on Anthony Road where it would be underneath the side of the road, and then it would cut up underneath Montauk Point. But this cable would be anywhere from 6 to 8 feet underground to almost 80 feet underground, and nobody will see it. I don't have an opinion whether this should happen or not. There have been no negotiations. There was a proposed idea that was presented to us. We told them, okay, well, if we're going to do this, then what would the host community agreement proposal look like? And that's where we're at. There's no host community agreement. There's no, there's nothing. We last met with them in January. That's it. They said they'll get back to us, and that's it. I'm hoping that they'll come to us in the summertime, and we will have something to discuss with the council and the public. The EFSB, the Energy Facility Siting Board in Rhode Island, that's the organization, that's the entity that will make the decision.
Right.
Portsmouth will be asked at some point, I'm sure, once they've determined where this cable's going to go, we will be asked to render an advisory opinion. Our opinion will not be, should the cables be installed in the Secaunet or in Portsmouth or not. That's not what we're going to be asked. We're going to be asked, typically, what are the traffic impacts? So DPW will have to give an advisory opinion. The building official will probably have to do a sediment. Yeah, sediment and erosion control. The town council may be asked, if this requires a sound variance, what is your opinion on that? Those are the kinds of things. They're the collectors of the information. We don't get to say no. We can voice an opinion that says we don't want it here. Absolutely. If the council wanted to do a resolution, then they would have to do a resolution and pass it on to the FSB.
But it might not sway the decision.
It may not. I mean, but think about what's going on here, and it's not a fait accompli.
We have 1 minute, sadly.
But think about what's going on. The fields have been leased. This is a presidential priority. This is a federal government priority. This is a a state government priority. This is a priority of the governor. The fields have been leased. Those cables are going to go somewhere. And if they're going to go through Portsmouth, I have no idea if they will or not, then it's my task from the council to ensure that we get the biggest HCA that we can. That's it.
Yes, host community agreement.
That's it.
Fantastic. Rich, you're chock full of so many things. I am so glad you're at the helm of this. It's just all over, so many things to manage. And I'm proud to be a citizen of this community. And I'm just so happy about you and our leadership, and thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show. We'll have you back soon because there's plenty more to talk about.
Plenty.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on Portsmouth This Week. My guest was Rich Rayner. We've got tons of things to think about, to talk about. Please send us your feedback. You can send it to Rich or myself, and we would welcome to hear from you on what you would like to talk about on this show. Thanks very much. See you next time.